that.
you.
Whoa. Settle down.
Okay.
We're a lot of practice on the actual podding.
I know.
We've been live streaming, but not podding.
That's right.
There's a major difference.
Man, potting. I'll never get used to that phrase. This is Pedal Pushers.
Oh, hey, yeah. Pedal Pushers with Zach and Matthew.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we're back. We've
Yes.
had, what was the last podcast?
The Herc episode.
Was that it?
Yeah, we've been busy
man.
doing Herc
In
stuff.
February?
Yeah. It's been a little bit. We have doing our live streams on Fridays as much as we can, but
I feel like my mic is
extra rattly.
Oh.
Yeah, turn that stuff.
I got that fixed.
But we've been busy because the Herc launch has been so successful. We had to make more and then more.
Oh, it's been completely overwhelming.
Which we appreciate. Thank you, everybody, for getting one and trying it out. And but when there's only 3 of us, so when we're busy, you and I are making pedals in the back.
I remember why I pay people to make pedals, so I don't have to.
Yes, and it might be that we're getting to the point where there might have to be more people.
Yeah, I think pretty soon
we're getting there because then we can do this stuff.
Yes,
which you guys love, and we appreciate you guys listening.
Yes.
So we wanted to come back strong with a big topic. On Fridays, please watch the stream if you get a chance, or watch it on YouTube afterwards. We talk a lot about specific gear releases, but I like this show to be a little more broader, something that we can dig deep into. The pathos of guitar buying.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah,
that's a big OS word.
That's a big OS word. Well, you are a psych major, so yeah. So, inspired by your latest purchase.
Well, before we get to that,
whoa, okay.
Don't forget to like.
Oh yeah, it says that on here.
Subscribe.
Yeah.
Tell your friends. Leave us a review. Do all the things on all the podcast and social media spaces.
Yes, please.
But anyway, continue your thought.
Okay, and I was thinking about this because you bought a new guitar. You bought a very yes, you did. You bought a lot. Actually, recently you bought a lot of new stuff.
I've had just.
It's an unbelievable run.
It's been this has been wild.
And I think it's probably been about 6 months since we did our episode about paring down and having to sell a bunch of stuff. So we're excuse me, sorry, I need a cough button. Getting over a cold. But we're on the opposite end of the spectrum for both of us because I just put a deposit down for another new guitar for myself.
Yes.
So we're in the throes of the excitement, which is the chase.
Mm-hmm.
That's where we're at. And what I wanted this episode to be about is I have to call everyone out right now. You're lying to yourself if you think the tone search will ever end. Because it won't.
Never end.
It'll never end. And sometimes we just need to all have a group therapy session where we talk about how that's okay.
Yeah.
That's okay. That we always feel like we need to say stuff like, that's it. This is the last one. I'm done. My pedal board's done. That's my tone. That's the guitar I needed. That's it. I'm done. But we do this. We do this all the time.
We do. But I do think that now a lot of you are probably thinking, hey, you guys say don't get as much stuff, enjoy stuff. But I think it still rings true, less guitars, best guitars.
Well, we'll get to that because that is a philosophy here. But I think what we're really getting at is that there's people call it a lot of things, gas, gear acquisition syndrome. That's a classic, right? But there's a lot of things that we call PGR is our new one.
PGR.
Positive gear reinforcement.
There will be a t-shirt.
Which we'll get to. But I think what we're getting at here is that when it comes time and you want stuff and you kind of get that itch again and you're getting in there, we want to be encouraging. We want to say there's a reason why you feel that way. The tone search never ends. And it's okay. Don't lie to yourself. Don't declare anything over. It's never over. There's always more gear. Over. There's always good stuff.
Yes.
But there's not some caveats, but there's some stuff that comes with that, right? So let's show it off.
Okay, you want to see it?
Yeah, let's do it right now. This is why we're talking right now.
It's really dark over here because I have a big foam thing for those that's listening. I put a big sound deadening thing, and so when I go too far over it, I'm in shadow.
Right. Put it in.
Here it is.
Okay.
Boink.
There it is. That is your new 59 reissue.
Yeah. So, real quick.
Yeah, detail it.
I turn 40 this year in October.
Yes.
And initially I had thought of a gift I wanted to give myself, and I said, I don't know. And then I wanted to I talked to my wife and said, maybe we should do a made to measure or find a Pearly Gates reissue. I mean, to me, that's kind of like the be all end all.
Yeah, that's the pinnacle.
Yeah.
For the 59 lover.
Right. And I think it is for most of us. But I last Monday went to Wildwood Guitars.
You did?
In Louisville, Colorado, to shoot some videos with the one and only Mr. Greg Koch. And then I wasn't really looking. They just said, hey, the store is yours.
You were at one of the best guitar stores in the world.
Yes.
You were going to play a few things.
Yeah. And they have everything. All the cases are there, and they're all labeled with the weight, the neck dimensions.
Wow, that's
finish,
great.
everything.
Wow.
And so I had picked a bunch of things out and taken it in a room and was playing it.
Yep.
And John brought this into the room and said, you just got to try this. So this is one of the Brazilian board 59 reissue Les Pauls that is, there's 50 of each color. And this is Tom's Dark Burst.
Yeah.
And immediately I was like, oh no. And then I played it because I had been playing some Murphy Lab stuff. This guitar just kind of, it rocked my world for a second. And it still is. I was worried because basically what happened, I played it and then I left and I talked to my wife and all of my friends. And then the next day someone had made an appointment to see it. And I got a little itchy. And I was like, oh man, that kind of makes me sad.
What a great sales tactic that is, by the way.
They could have just said that.
Doesn't matter. It's either it is or it isn't, but man, that's great. I love that.
And then the guy opted for one with the Bigsby.
Oh, okay.
And so Greg at Wildwood said, hey, it's still here. And so we made it happen. And now it is like, it's kind of, I'm not going to get rid of any of my other Les Pauls because I love them so much, and I'm not allowed to sell my other Murphy painted one. But this one is it's the greatest Les Paul I've played apart from a Burst.
There you go.
And that's the whole story.
That is a great story. And what inspired me was that in a lot of times in these situations, we would say to ourselves, I have a amazing R9.
Yeah.
Right? Why would I need another one of those kind of guitars? And I think that there's that bass, like deep, like, like wild, visceral sort of experience of chasing down a guitar and getting it. That it's just, that is what we like doing. Whether it's guitars or pickups or pedals or amps or whatever part of this experience that you get that feeling, because it's different for everybody.
And I think this is applicable to things way beyond guitars.
Of course, but this is the space that we're in.
Right, sure.
But I think that's like, sometimes logic doesn't matter.
No, no.
And it's just like there's a feeling and there's a tone in there. And I think that where I want to get to is that like that's, if you've ever sat down with yourself and you say like, self, that guitar was amazing, but I don't need it. Sometimes you go, okay, I'm going to just sell everything that I won't be super, and you might sell stuff that you're going to regret, but this is all it's a part of the game. Yeah. It's just a part of the game, and it's like,
I did not go there with the intention of buying a guitar. This one just happened to be there and it connected with me. Yes. And the funny thing is when you look at it side by side with my R9,
it's pretty close.
They're pretty dang close.
Yeah.
The tops, the color's almost the same. Mine's a little different. This one has a much more even flame top, but I like how, because some of these were like crazy flamed out.
Yeah, a little too much.
This one is really flamey, but it's not. It looks old.
Yeah, it's not over the top. It doesn't look sourced to be overly flaming.
Yeah. But I think it's just.
Yeah.
Sometimes you see these things and you have to decide. Like, will you regret not making it happen for something that is truly special?
Well, I just made a similar decision.
Yes.
Because I've talked a little bit about it on the live streams. Can't remember if I've talked about it on the show, but we'll talk about it. Here is that I just ordered my new Castadosa baritone, and I played one at Carlos's house during NAMM, and I literally just had not had a feeling like maybe ever like that. A lot of the guitars that I've gotten, I've ordered or have had made for me over the years. But that was a moment where I went in with no expectation, just wanted to play more of Carlos' stuff and said, this feels like something I have to have. And I'm selling my PRS Special to get it. Mm-hmm. And I love that guitar, but I asked everybody saying like, which one do you think I'm going to play more?
Right.
And everybody agreed. that I talk to, which is you and Jeff and my dad. That's everybody. That's the three
That's
people.
enough.
That's the three
That's a
people
crowd.
I trust the most talking, because you guys understand me the most.
Yes.
And it's like, it's hard to make that decision. It's one that I definitely would have never done, like even like a year ago.
Yeah.
I never would have done that. But I think hanging out with your dumbass and Jeff, and it's like I've learned to let go a little bit and kind of go with the flow with like what I learn about myself and what I learn about gear, and trying not to like stick to like these very hard, like this is the truth of me and gear, and I can't learn anything new.
Yeah.
I think that's a big part of what like this topic for me, which is that we all grow and change and learn as guitar players.
Right.
And I think we have to acknowledge when that happens, and then it's okay to let go of things. Or, as we'll get to with the different kinds of gear buyers that we want to talk about, or you keep adding to the collection because you don't have to sell anything, which, you know, I don't know how you do it.
Right.
Because it makes me sweaty.
Uh-huh.
But that's what I mean. Like learning as a player, learning and growing. That's what a lot of this is. Like, so like, you know, way more even 10 years ago than about all of this stuff.
Yeah.
About Les Pauls and standards and bursts and all that. And so that's part of this, is that you're just in that world so well. So now you can make an informed decision.
At like, to that end, like we all grow and change.
Yeah.
Do you remember what the first piece of gear that you truly coveted was as a guitar player? You know, like the thing you saw in a magazine or a catalog that made you go, that is like the image I see of myself.
Oh, 100%.
What was it?
Well, I think I could go either way. Like, I remember the very first guitar I ever bought was a Strat, because I saw Pete Townsend playing one and I really liked it.
Right.
And I was like, I think I want to get one. But it was seeing a McCarty.
Okay.
It was seeing a PRS and ads. Like, it was like, there was just something about the way that those early 2000 PRS ads and the way they photographed the guitars, and it was very consistent, you know, throughout how they did everything. They still pretty much do it the same way.
Yeah.
But I was just like, there was something about that, you know, the carved top and everything. It just blew me away.
Real deep, like maple.
Yeah, it was. I had to have one.
Yeah,
I had to have one.
I think I kind of went both ways. I because when I first started my guitar journey, I wanted a black Strat, just like Eric Clapton's. That was a big deal for me. Which I feel like, it's funny. Like the people I've talked to, I feel like a lot of people did not, in my age group, they kind of started more down the Stevie Ray Vaughan path, or definitely the John Mayer path. But I feel like I was a bit of an outlier with that. But then I remember I got Song Remains the Same.
Okay.
And seeing Jimmy Page in the Les Paul. Yeah. Kind of after that, I was like, oh, that's the guitar that truly resonated with me. And it's funny how cyclical the gear journey is, because that's kind of where it began. The Strat was, and then when I learned more about the Les Pauls and played them, I was like, oh no, this is me. But I've tried to get away from it. You know, I've had my qualms with Gibson and stuff over the years. I feel like the ship has been righted, you know, in a great way. But when I come down to it, I feel like that is me as a musician, as a guitar player. Yeah. So it's funny to just come all the way back full circle to where it began, seeing Jimmy Page in his dragon suit with the, you know, number one or whatever. And
it's funny for me, because I think it's a very interesting thing, because so much of that, the iconography for me hasn't really influenced me in that same way.
You were a little bit older in your guitar journey.
You know what I mean? But I think my thing got screwed up because I did not play much guitar early. Yeah. Like, I didn't start playing guitar until I was 20. And like, that's like 9 years of listening to music and learning to play bass. So a lot of the stuff I really liked when I started playing bass was Alice in Chains and Rage Against the Machine and Tool and Primus and all that stuff. And that stuff has stuck with me ever since. And then I picked up drums, and I didn't start playing guitar till 20. So I'd be interesting to see how different my guitar journey would have been if I'd bought a guitar, wanted a guitar in 1992 and 93. Right. Like, what I would have got like around that time. I mean, my brother was playing at the time, but he got my dad's Silhouette Special. Because my dad was working at Ernie Ball and had gotten some new stuff, and just gave my brother that guitar, which he got in like 1988. Right. Which was super cool. But like, I didn't get a guitar until it was after seeing the Who live, and I finally decided I'm gonna play.
Yeah.
And so I had so much formative years of listening to music before I decided. Been really interesting to see how different it would have ended up for me. What would I have gotten attached to?
Yeah, and even though my father and no one in my family played guitar, there were guitars around occasionally, but I never really played. But I always wanted a guitar, my whole life.
Yeah,
it was a little from like as long as I can remember. About 5 or 6, I remember desperately wanting a guitar. Yeah. And I didn't get one until I was 15. And I feel like I feel like my parents.
If you had pushed for it?
If I because like my dad had a successful business. We did fine. It wasn't anything like that. It was just, I don't think they thought I was serious. And I desperately wanted one. Yeah. But I was the kid that my parents would say, make a Christmas list. And I would go, I don't need anything. Oh. I was one of those. I was just like Graham.
That's really
sweet. A sweet kid. You know?
Well, I definitely know that for my father, I think he really wanted us to kind of come into it on our own.
Yeah.
And not because that was such a big part of his life. He wouldn't be like, you guys are playing guitar, God damn it. Like, well, so it took us a while, but like there is documented photos of me playing a plastic shovel.
Yeah.
From the beach playing I Love Rock and Roll.
Yeah.
Like at 2. Mm-hmm. So it was never going to be anything different than that. But this is another like I said, therapy session for us to justify all of our purchases, which is what we like to do once in a while, and hopefully we can help you. And one of the things that happened was, and it was very organic and it was fun, is that we were talking about guitars like this before you even went to Wildwood, because we were at the Amigo show.
Yeah,
and that's kind of where all this stuff started bubbling up. It was bubbling. You were ready for that, even if you didn't know.
I almost bought a guitar on the floor.
Yes, you did.
And I out of principle, I didn't, because the guy didn't give me the deal that I wanted.
And so, but that's like you go to a guitar show and I'm sitting there and everyone's asking, what are you looking at? I'm like, I got to pay for a Castadosa soon, so I can't look at anything. But, people were asking me about that guitar, and I came up with a term just on the fly on the floor while we were working, which is positive gear reinforcement.
Yeah, I like it.
And I like it because like what it is that like, we do this for each other. And sometimes in a sort of joking manner, but whenever any one of us brings up anything, we're like, yeah, you should get that. Like, no matter what it is.
What a Pavlovian response.
We do, though. Every time Jeff shows me a picture of a guitar, yeah, you should get that. Are you going to get that? But that's what we do for each other.
Right.
And I think it's important to have positive gear reinforcement.
You're the most positive of the lot of us. You and Jeff. I think I'm...
you don't tell us not to get something.
No, I don't. But I do feel like I'm a bit like, if Jeff came in here and said, guys, there's a Les Paul and I'm buying it, I would say, you don't want a Les Paul. Because he's borrowed mine and like played them, and he's like, it doesn't really work. And so like I'm skeptical.
He likes the new one.
Yeah.
But I think having a healthy conversation is part of it being positive gear reinforcement.
Oh yes.
Yeah, we're talking about like this pursuit and the journry. And
what's positive gear punishment? If we're really wanting to get down to it. No, I'm kidding.
I could probably say some stuff that I shouldn't.
Mm-hmm. That's the most confusing thing in all of psychology, I think.
Yes.
Positive reinforcement and positive punishment. People mix up negative reinforcement and positive punishment a lot. Anyway, you go look it up.
Well, Internet. I should have prepared some of those things because I knew I was going to be talking to you about this. But the idea behind it is that like, we all kind of come at this in different ways.
Yeah.
We have a whole episode about you and I getting sweaty about having too many guitars, and our collection grows, and then we get sweaty about it, and we got to sell it off. And not everybody's like that. But what it is a sort of like understanding how you like to do it or how other people like to do it and being positive about that. That's part of their journey. If it's part of journey of Jeff buying the wrong shit and having to sell it, then we're going to be positive about it and say like, this is Jeff needs to get it out of his system, and we know he's going to sell it, and that's okay.
I kind of feel like we're outliers in this space because I feel like the average player does move a lot more gear or goes through. There's a more revolving door of equipment.
You think average players go through a lot more stuff than we do?
I think so. Yeah, definitely more than you.
Well, I'm new to this part of it.
Right.
I think I might get,
But even me, it's not quite a black hole. Stuff comes in, never comes out.
Yeah.
But we we poke fun at Jeff because he'll get something and be like, man, we can't wait for what you trade this for. It's a joke.
Yes, it's yes.
But I do think like the most of my friends in the guitar space are do have a bit more of a there's constantly something in and out of rotation.
And the concept that I'm getting at is that if that's how they are and that's what gets them excited is I used to be a little bit like, I don't know about that. I don't like that. And obviously when you work for a guitar company and people sell your guitars after I get pissed off.
Right.
So that's why I felt that way. But understanding that a little bit better and saying like, that's what they like. They just want new stuff.
It's the chase.
They always want new stuff, and they can't get new stuff unless they sell new stuff because not everybody can be the collector. And I want to be positive with these people.
Sure.
Say like, that's great. If you want to keep, saying this is my favorite overdrive ever, and then next week, oh no, this one's my favorite overdrive ever. That's great.
You shouldn't sell a Mythos pedal.
Obviously,
the more of them on a reverb, the price goes down. So keep them.
Yes.
Keep them at home on the shelf. And then when you decide to sell it, it'll go for more money. There you go.
Wow.
Basic economics.
Math. We're doing psych. We're doing economics here. We are a very helpful podcast.
Man, but 2 college degrees in one room is basically a doctorate.
I always tell myself every day that when I'm hitting that payment on my student loan, like, yeah, Zach wouldn't have hired me if I didn't get this. So thank goodness I have this. But I think that like the biggest part of the concept of positive gear reinforcement for me is this statement that I truly believe, which is it's okay to admit you'll probably sell almost everything you own right now. I mean, think about your journey. Everybody out there, think about your journey. Think about what you owned 10 years ago. Think about what you owned 20 years ago.
10 years ago doesn't seem that long.
For you old cats, 30 years ago. Or if you just got into the game 5 years ago and how much of it's changed. I always notice this when people share like their old pedal boards.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh man, it's completely different. Did you stop liking all those pedals?
Mine's all the same. There's just like it's just all Mythos stuff in new boxes, which is funny.
I like that. Well, pedals might be different for you, but what about amps?
Yeah, well
What's the oldest amp that you own?
The amp that I've owned it the longest amount of time.
Yeah.
My deluxe reverb, I got that.
Yeah.
Oh man, I probably got that in 2017 or so.
Okay.
Or 2018, but yeah, I've gone through a lot of amps.
And I think that's sort of what I'm getting at here is that like I think that sometimes you can look at it and be like, I got it figured out.
Right.
I got my tone figured out. I got everything dialed in. This is great. And something's going to change your mind, whether it's the tone, you're going like, oh, I discovered something about tone and I need to chase that, or it's just I want new stuff. And even if I stare at everything I got and it all works and it all sounds really good, I want to buy something. I want to buy something, and that's okay. Well, and I think that's sort of how I have an Avatar 212 cabinet I've had since like 2003, and I have my McCarty, right? Since I've had that for 21 years, and then everything else that I'm using now is pretty new for me.
I mean, I still own a bunch of old guitars. I think pedals I've had my my Maxon 8999 since
for a long time.
Yeah, probably 2000.
And you can hold on to those. They don't get in the way. A lot of this is guitars and amps. Depending on how much room. But I think it's if you look at your journey, it's like, and a lot of that is the knowledge, right? The way I played 15 years ago, the way I played 20 years ago, much different, applications much different. But it is funny to think about that now. If you sit and you look at all your stuff and you're like what am I going to still have 5 years from now?
Right.
10 years from now, what's going to change? And right now you think, I'm not selling any of this stuff. I'm not going to sell anything, but it's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay.
And the only thing, like, it's so funny, like, even though I just got this.
Yeah, let's show it off again.
The only thing, the Brazilian R9, the only thing that would cause me to sell this would be if they made a replica Pearly and it was honest to God better than this.
Yeah.
But we talked a lot about this because we found a Pearly up in Illinois.
We did.
And we were going to take a little roadie up there and grab it. But I've played a couple of those guitars.
I never really loved them.
And I never liked it.
Yeah.
So it kind of, if all of them have the same neck, and then whatever they make in the future has the same neck as those, I don't think I'll like it.
There you go.
But anyway.
But that's good. I mean, this is all about what keeps you getting excited about playing guitar.
Well, there's an endorphin rush to buying something that motivates you to get back into it. And I think so often with all of us, I mean, we're in a very consumer culture anyway, but
we are
not getting too deep into that. But I feel like sometimes if you're feeling a little bored or uninspired, even just buying like a new, there's like packs of picks that are just like a mixed bag. Yeah. So just something to make you go.
You're like, hey, play more guitar.
Nip. Just something to get
Spark
you,
it.
get you lit up again.
100%, and that's all this is.
It doesn't take a $20,000 guitar to do that,
but it helps.
But well,
I mean, I think that but I think it's it's a combination of all those things.
Get one of these.
I mean, yes, shout out to Rhett. But it's a combination of all those things, right? Like I was thinking about this a lot because Friday afternoons is guitar time for me.
Yeah.
My family is usually over at the in-laws. I get off work a little early on Fridays. I go home and I've been playing the Benson and the Herculean Deluxe and my Mariana, my Castadosa. And I play that for hours on end. And I just love it. And I'm like, man, this is it, man. This tone, this is all I ever need. This is great. But that doesn't mean I'm not going to it's perfect right now.
Yeah.
And it's like ticking all the boxes for me, and it's getting me excited to play. I get home and I can't wait to fire all that up, and I'm getting a baritone.
Yeah, well, I mean, like,
it's fun.
I think the thing that I've learned in the past year or so is that I was so, and we talked about this, I was so hell-bent on everything being the same.
Yes.
And like all humbucker guitars, I wanted them to sound the same. I wanted them to play kind of the same. Yeah. And so I've let go of that.
Yes.
And I've embraced the differences. I mean, that's partly why I love the KH602, the Kirk Hammett LTD I have.
Yeah.
It's just that being able to not be afraid of setting yourself on a different path with gear, and finding what truly inspires you is really, I think it's a good way to remain open-minded. Yeah. And it gives you the freedom to enjoy things that you may have not ever considered before. Because I mean, to me, like hearing you play, I think a baritone makes a lot of sense. But it's honestly not something I ever thought about.
Neither did I. And I think as I played, shout out to Carlos. I'm going to give him a huge plug here. I think that a lot of the baritones I've played felt a little like heavier on the bass side, a little stiff. You know what I mean? This did not feel that way. This felt like a guitar that you could just play like normal. Like I picked it up and I didn't feel like I had to play it any differently than I normally did, except it sounded different.
Yeah.
And that's what I liked about it, because I wasn't like, well, what do I do on here? What should I be playing? It was literally instantaneous. And that's what we talk about when we always say you got to try everything.
Yeah.
And because you never know where you're going to land on that, because I've obviously been aware of his stuff for a couple of years now, and all of his stuff was baritone. And then I ordered, one of the non-baritone guitars, and then instantly I'm like, oh, I got to get one of those. And shout out to a lot of the Castadosa heads who messaged me and said, are you going to try a baritone? Because we think you're going to like them.
What is that community? Does that community have a nickname?
I have no idea.
The dose heads? The doses?
The dosers.
Dosers.
The dosers. But it was very
Carlos,
much
you're welcome.
like
you have that one for free.
First one's free, baby. But there was like, you have to try one. We think you'll really dig this. And I'm like, oh, yeah, I'll get there. And they're like, you're going to NAMM. It's like, you going to try one? If I get a chance. And then I tried one. I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
It makes a whole lot of sense. But you never know. And, sometimes you got to move on from, beloved guitars. Because no matter how good they sound, they're not that.
Yeah.
And it's hard. And that was really hard for me, because I did move on from some stuff that obviously sounded really good. It's just, you learn more about yourself and you learn more about all of your gear. And then you're like, oh yeah, this is what works. And 5 years from now, it might be completely different. I get this baritone and it might change my life. It's the only guitar I ever want to play.
I don't think so.
No.
I think, but I do think it's going to
you never know.
Inspire you in a different way.
What I think will be interesting is that I probably will end up with more gear that's going to enhance that experience.
Yeah.
Whether it comes to speakers or amps or
like
pedals.
Like a Sun half stack.
I mean, maybe. Yeah. You never know, which would be good. So we've been dancing around this, but I think this is going to be the highlight of the episode, which is like a lot of what we're getting at here. Is I like that.
That was pretty good.
You got some moves.
Oh, I can dance.
Yeah, look at that, folks. That's something that we got to see that at some point.
Well, you heard me play and sing.
Let's go. All right. What kind of gear buyer are you? Because really, what we're talking about is being positive with people that are, because everybody's gonna fall under a different sort of spectrum or category of gear buyer.
Yeah.
And what we want to be is positive gear reinforcement for how you get your rocks off.
Ooh.
That's the idea. You know?
Yeah.
I mean, that's not what I meant, but
But it's what you meant.
I support that wholeheartedly, 100%. All right. So, what gear buyer are you? I think that you and I fall under this first category, which is less guitars, best guitars.
Well, it was like that a couple weeks ago, and then here recently.
You went ham.
Yeah.
But the reason why I still think that I know people go like, Zach, you have a lot of guitars.
There's a lot of shit in here.
You have gotten a little bit out of hand. But like what I mean by that person is the person that's always looking for the best guitars they can get and are okay with parting with stuff.
Yeah.
Because you do get a little sweaty. And you will soon.
What?
Get sweaty about all this.
I'm already sweaty. But the worst part for me is that I don't like selling stuff I like.
It's hard.
Because the part of this was like, okay, I'll sell my 594.
Oof, that was the big one.
And it's such a good guitar. And
Yeah. Go watch the YouTube video that you made on that, and don't look at the title.
Yeah, I mean, it really. I know this guitar is totally kind of superseded it. I probably should sell the Kirk Hammett back there, but I really like that too. And then the Soldano, I mean, all of them, I can.
So if you're not less guitars, best guitars, what are you?
Well, I think in my head I am, but then when it comes to the moment of actually selling something, I get sad because I attach so much emotion into something. Like I remember every reason why I like something.
Let me say something that you're not a rich guy.
Not exactly.
But you don't necessarily have to sell this stuff to feed your family.
No.
Because you own the business and we're doing fine. Because there's a difference between somebody that's like, I can't buy anything unless I sell this shit.
Right.
Because that's kind of, where I'm at, where I'm limited. And I think that you try to kind of adhere by that.
I never want to go into debt for equipment.
Yes.
No debt.
Yeah.
So
it's like, and I think that's sort of that's where that philosophy comes in. It's like, all right, I'm going to get some nice stuff, but I kind of have a set dollar amount. It's a little elastic on how much I really want to spend on gear. And so if I start getting too much stuff, what am I not playing?
Well, and this one totally stretched well beyond the intention of anything I was planning on doing. And so I think that, because in my mind, like every dollar I take out of the savings or whatever that I put towards myself, I feel guilty in that I'm taking it away from my family.
Which you are, yes.
Well, I am.
I'm sorry.
I mean, I am, and I know that, and I feel really guilty about it. And it's about, I feel like I need to reimburse the coffers for.
Well, it's like what I say all the time. It's like you should pursue gear onto the very ends of the earth as long as you do not ruin your family.
Well, yeah.
That is the credo.
Yeah.
All right. So I'll go with less guitars, best guitars.
I think that's true for me.
I still think it's true for you. You do have a lot of guitars. But I think you do part with stuff. I mean, you sold some stuff.
Yeah.
Right. So next one, give me one of everything.
Uh-huh.
You know who you are. You are the player that's like, you know what I need? I don't have a Gretsch. I need some Filtertrons.
I don't have a Jazzmaster.
I don't have a Jazzmaster.
I don't have a Jaguar. I don't have a Dan Electro.
And you buy them. And those are beautiful people. I really love those people.
It's all good.
I love that. They have like one of every kind of style of guitar. Anytime anything kind of new comes out, I don't have a 12 string with P90s. Would that sound bad?
Right.
That doesn't sound that.
Maybe be fine.
That'd be fine.
I guess.
I don't know.
If Fender can make those Fender 12s that have those ugly little split pickups.
Yeah.
But
those are people out there. They have Strat, they have a Tele, they've got a Les Paul, they have an SG, they have a Flying V, they have an Explorer. They got it all.
Wait, I have all these.
A lot of it's for work.
Right.
But those players are interesting.
Yeah.
Because that's like something that I've never thought about doing, because I would always think, well, on most of these things, I'm going to sound like shit.
So oftentimes you hear people, like some of the better guitar players, they'll definitely adhere to certain things, scale length, familiarity. And I feel like those players can take anything and kind of make it work in every situation.
Yes.
And I understand buying a lot of stuff as in service of a sound, inspiration. If you're recording,
if you record a lot, you're in the studio a lot. People are gonna be like, well, how do we get that sound? You got to have a guitar that can do that, or an amp that can do that,
right?
A pedal that can do that.
But I do think that all of that is well and good, but also, you can kind of get lost in the journey of buying stuff when you're trying to just tick boxes. Like, what are you ticking the boxes for? That's what I think, and I think like it's valuable for someone if that's what they're trying to do. But I think all those guitars, you should really love them and like them for what they are as an instrument, not just to I need X sound.
Oh, I don't have a Strat.
Yeah,
and so I get a Strat, even if I'm not a big Strat player. Or something like that.
That's okay. It's okay to not have those things.
But that's the type of guitar bar out there.
But I think people need to hear that it's okay.
That's what I mean. This is positive gear reinforcement. If you're that person and you're like, oh crap, are there 12-string guitars out there?
Am I being negative gear reinforcement right now? Am I being negative gear reinforcement?
No, I think I understand what you're talking about, which is that's why I couldn't do it, because I feel like I get so attached to my guitars and they become very personal for me. So it's like I don't have that kind of feeling where I go like, oh, I don't have that kind of stuff. And maybe there's not a lot of people out there that do this that are out of the studio space or recording space.
I don't know. I feel like a lot of people kind of...
I see the people that I'm thinking of, well, they do like, maybe they're like a YouTuber, so they have to have a lot of different stuff so they can test out a lot of different styles of music. And so that makes sense, right?
I guess.
But then I will say this, and this is me, I'm still being positive here.
Get a Variac. Remember a Variac?
What the heck? That's right. I already feel like I cussed too much, so I dropped a heck on y'all. But I'm kidding. No, but it's like those people. Like, are you associated with you're not necessarily ever going to be associated with a specific sound if you do that, because you're switching a lot. Depending on that. I don't even know how you can do it. Switching scale lengths.
You just have to be good like RJ.
You just have to be an amazing player. So shout out to all you people that do one of everything, because you must be really good.
Yeah. Well. Yeah, it's interesting to see someone go, because even for me, I play 24 3/4 inch scale length, and then everything else is probably 25 1/2. And going, if I was to play that Les Paul and then grab that Telly behind Matthew over there, it would take me a minute to get used to it. But I've seen a lot of people just be able to pick them up and hey, that's awesome
if you can do it.
But
all right, next style buyer. I like this sound, and fuck you. I'll buy 100 guitars that do it.
That used to be me.
You had brought that up earlier, and I thought that was great.
Yes,
I think that's a fun one. That's the kind of person that's like, yeah, I have 10 Les Pauls.
That's a good start.
That's a good start. Yeah, but it's funny to me when you think about it, because that's again part that it makes no sense in my brain. But I would like for it to make sense, because I think at some point it would be great if I had the scratch to do that. Where it's like, what, I like this type of guitar. It does this specific sound. I would like as many as I can get.
I need a red one and a black one and a sunburst one and a white one.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
There is something, because I used to be very much like that. I wanted all my humbucker guitars to sound like my R9, and I had multiple Les Pauls that I would measure pickups and everything to kind of get them within that same space.
Yeah.
And then it dawned on me, I would still just play that one guitar. What am I doing? I'm doing the guitars a disservice by trying to mold them into something they aren't.
Yes.
But I can see this for if you're a touring artist and you have to have for different tunings or different songs or whatever you need.
But you want the same feel and the same tone, but you're going to go a little different tunings. Maybe you got a lot of people have like the Japan rig and the Europe rig.
Right.
There's a lot of stuff like that. Totally makes sense. I mean, I think another player that's very similar in that regard is, and I just devoured his book, of course, about this, was James Hetfield. So much of what he's doing is getting a very specific sound, but he likes having a lot of different guitars that basically do that.
Yeah.
Because it inspires him in different ways, the way they look and the way they feel. But the interesting part about getting to that upper echelon is he'll tell you the nuances between all of them and how different they sound. And that is something that I think this is where the positive gear reinforcement comes in, which is that if you're going to be a person like that and you're going to have 10 Strats, 10 Les Pauls, I know that you could tell me the sound differences between all of them and the reason why you need all of them, and I think that's great.
Yeah, and I think
because that's what you're going to get to is that you're going to be able to tell the difference, just like you'll be able to tell the difference between your R9 and your Brazilian, which we need to come up with a fun nickname for the Brazilian.
Let's just call it B.
B?
Just B.
B? Okay.
I brought B today.
You brought B today?
I don't know. We'll land on it.
We'll land on it. But
leave a comment and see if someone can name it.
But
I'll
you'll
send you a sticker.
send him what?
A sticker.
Ooh, a sticker.
A sticker pack.
Oh my gosh. Will you give me one if I get it?
No.
Dang it. Dang. Just pay me. No, but there should be nuances there, right? To where you're like, I have these two guitars. They're going to sound different in some way. Maybe they might be really close, but there could be something about the guitar that, inspires you to pick it up in one situation or the other. And you kind of have to be that way if you're going to end up with that many. Or you're just like, I'm a collector. I don't care. This is the guitar I like. I want as many of them as I can get.
Yeah, I'm kind of like that with Tube Screamers.
Oh, you are?
I'm getting another one today.
It never ends, folks.
After that one, I should only have 2 more, and then I've got every model.
Oh, my God. But that's great. And that's a fun way to be, That's a fun way to be. All right.
Next.
Give me the new and give me the shiny. All right. So this is a very specific kind of gear buyer, which is they're kind of just going to be whatever the new stuff is, they're going to get it. They're going to sell a lot of the old stuff that they get. They're going to cycle through lots of stuff, lots of different styles of guitars, but it's all about what's popping.
What's hot?
What is popping?
What is getting the likes?
Yeah,
what's getting the clicks?
This is Gear Page post about how it's the best guitar you've ever played.
Is Gear Page like that still?
And then 2 days later, it's in the
Gear Page classifies.
And you're linking to your post, talking about how good it is. I don't know. I don't go to Gear Page.
I don't know either.
It's been a long time, but we see it.
Yeah.
There's people that cycle through guitars like crazy. They always have the newest, the latest, and greatest. A lot of that is it's similar to the Gimme One of Everything and less guitars, best guitars, but I think it's very much like, the kind of people that are buying stuff like, and I saw it a lot, buying, when I was at Novo and we pop a guitar up on Thursday, people snap that up, or like people do with Frank Brothers. Danicaster was doing that a lot where you post stuff. These are the people that are buying that stuff because it's like, "Hah!"
Yeah.
And then you get something or anything new that comes out where you're just like, you get one of those pedals, amps. That's exciting. That's fun. Mm-hmm. And you get to play a lot of different gear and try a lot of different stuff and have a blast.
Yeah, I think that's an interesting.
How do you feel about that guitar buyer or gear buyer? Because this could be people do this with pedals, people do this with amps, people do this with everything.
I mean, hey, if it makes you happy, I just don't. I think the only downside to that is while it gives you an immense education on all the things that are floating around in the world,
latest and greatest,
you may not be able to really get to know something well enough to bond with it, because I do think it takes time to have that sort of. I mean, there's always an immediacy, and there's a honeymoon phase with everything.
Yeah.
But also, it's like a guitar, more than anything, I think is an extension of you as a player.
Yeah.
And an extension of your ability to express yourself. Mm-hmm. And sometimes the newest, the latest, the greatest, you may not have that.
Before the next thing comes along?
Before the next thing shows up.
I mean, this player could also be somebody like, give me one of everything, and I like the sound, and I'll buy 100 guitars that do it. You don't necessarily have to sell everything. You could just be, give me the new and the shiny, and I keep everything. But it would still be the same problem, is that you're moving on to the next guitar.
Right.
Playing that one instead of digging in with what you already have.
Yeah.
But that's part of that visceral thrill we talked about. Like that endorphin, that rush of buying something new and being like, oh, look at this thing.
Yeah. And we're definitely in that culture. Well, I think more than we've ever been of like the drop, like those sort of things.
And I would say for years I did it through pedals. Where I had done that. There was a long time where I bought a lot of stuff online as soon as it came out from different brands, and it was fun and exciting. I got the Mythos stuff early. Like Zach, bring it on over. But like, I've kind of slowed down on that end because I'm really trying to find my sound. That's kind of what I'm going for here, and I've slowed down a lot on that end. But there is, I think we've all been in that category in some part of our gear purchases for a long time. I mean, I see people, doing that with, pickups a lot, where they're trying out everything and rotating through stuff and the newest, latest, and greatest, and amps, whatever it is.
Yeah,
exciting.
I'm with this guitar. I'm gonna try to just live with it, and get to really know.
You
it.
gonna like swear that you'll not swap the pickups out? Right?
No, I'm not gonna swear on anything. But for now, usually there's this thing that happens. As a sidebar, when you play a guitar at a store and you're in a bit of a vacuum.
Yes.
You try it, and you're like, oh, this thing is it's so good.
Yeah.
And that kind of happened with a 335. And then I got it home, just compared it to a couple
like,
other my guitars. I was like, the guitar itself is really good, but the sound is it's lacking just a little, something.
Well,
And then you kind of have to massage it to get it there. This one, like playing it loud through the 2-Rock at home, even through the Catalyst, which it's funny, I did like a story with the Catalyst, and I got so many messages like, what's that amp? Like
Catalyst.
The Catalyst. It doesn't have any. I don't have that feeling of.
Yeah.
This actually just makes all my other guitars. Some of them, I want to go on my other guitars, which is weird. So,
but that's part of the tone journey.
It is.
There's always a better guitar.
And then lastly,
I can mod that Squire, and it'll be better than Custom Shop.
A lot of people like that.
There's a lot of people like that, and that is a noble pursuit. I don't have the patience for it.
Go for it.
I don't know. You like to mod stuff.
I love modding stuff.
And we just did that with a Epiphone.
And it's great. And we're going to do it with that and that SG that's behind Matthew there.
Ooh, so look for that. But that is somebody there's a lot of players out there. That's their whole game. Was finding good deals and then trying to make it as doesn't interest me at all.
You're not a modder.
Nope.
You don't even like changing strings.
Barely. I'll do it if I have to.
I love the journey of modification.
Yeah.
But it's more about the journey. It's more about the fun of busting out the tools and like tearing something apart and rebuilding it. Mm-hmm. But I think in my mind, I never once think, oh, this will be better than it is, but it's never gonna be something that it isn't.
You're not like, I mean, I think that's part of the deal. And since we did a mod series, video, the idea is like, am I gonna make something that's better than like the USA version? If I take it and I could pay the price that it is, and then I could buy all the parts, and then whatever my labor costs, because I have to just, kind of how much I'm paying myself, then when you're done, you're like, am I going to be able to make something that's better? And I think, like, is that the goal? Or
that's not how I think about it.
But I think a lot of people do.
Oh, yeah.
Because they're looking at it and they're saying, like, if I buy a Vintera or buy a Players series, can I get it to be as good as American Vintage? And like that's what I'm going to try to massage it. Or I get a Squire and I'm going to put if you get a Squire and you put like, Lawlers and a Mastery on there, you just blew past the price of the Squire.
Right.
But
unless it's just an amazing guitar.
And are you going to get something better than American Vintage? And there were some bad reviews of the Jazzmaster that came out right when those first dropped. So maybe, but like that's again. This is positive gear reinforcement. If that whole process is what gets you excited, I think that's got to be really, the goal of it is the process.
Yeah.
Because the end results might not be, that's not a guarantee.
Yeah. You have to enjoy the journey.
Yes.
No matter what the destination is. But I think I think the idea of trying to turn something into something else is a fool's errand. I'm not saying that you can't improve something. I'm not saying that you can make something play as good as possible and play as equally as good as something else. But the idea that a Squire with the best bridge, tuners, fret dress, pickups, wiring is going to feel, play, and sound as good just as any normal custom shop.
Well, not custom shop. I don't think that.
Well, that's the argument.
No,
I think typically, because
really?
I've experienced that argument. I've experienced that argument firsthand. I've experienced that argument firsthand. I was at a store that I was helping out, and when I had my black RO that was like tricked out within an inch of its life. I had the Fralin True 60s in it, all the same, junk, and most of the plastic that's on my R9 now is like it looked great, it played great, and a guy had brought in an Epiphone that he had put new pots and pickups, and he's like, He's like, I swear up and down, this is better than anything that's come out of the Gibson Custom Shop right now. And I was like, why do you think that? And he told me. I was like, well, hold on a second. And I put my black Gibson Custom case on the bench and clacked that open. I was like, here, play this. Yeah. And he's like, oh no. I was like, no. I'm not trying to like say you're wrong. I just want to get your reason why you think that. Mm-hmm. And he would not do it. Yeah. And he kind of left in like a huff. And I wasn't trying to make him mad, but I was just saying like, hey, we have
your entire worldview is wrong.
Well, we have to be realistic with what we expect to change because no manner of pickup swap or fret dressing will change the wood, will change the finish, and the people that go to that end
to make them as
I ask why. I've had a lot of people message me say, hey, would you refinish this guitar or that guitar? It's like, no. If you want something in a different finish, especially changing poly to nitro, just buy the guitar you want. Mm-hmm. Just sell it and buy the guitar you want. Or save for it,
No, I agree with you on that. I just would be blown away if someone thought they could get a Squire and then get it close to what a custom shop.
Well, I think a lot of people still kind of hold true to the idea that if it has a custom shop quality hardware and pickups in it, then that is what makes
fit and finish, man.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah, I mean, you can make a nice guitar. You can get it set up correctly, but
totally.
And I think that like sometimes I think what we're getting at here is that you might not have a person that's in that space might not have played a guitar of that caliber in a while,
or ever.
You know what I mean? I hadn't really played Fender Custom Shop very much over the years, and I know that McKinley got one. And I went over to his house and played it, and I was like, this guitar rules.
Right, yeah.
And then, Rhett got one recently. I have not checked that one out in person, but then you got one.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, whew.
Yeah.
And obviously being a fan of Novo and Castadosas and playing Sirs and Andersons, like there's a level above that stuff that I don't think that you can buy. But if that's fun for you and that's the price range you're in and that's what you like the journey, then I think that's great. And you could swear up and down it's as good. And I think that if you're in that space and you nailed it on something, that's wonderful. I think a good example of that would be too, like I've got a Warmoth Telly and everything is good, right? It's good pickups. It's good wood. I got it set up. I got it fret dressed properly, but the guitar, I play your Esquire or McKinley's Telly, it just blows it away.
Yeah.
And just absolutely, and obviously my Novos blow it away. Everything else is just, there's only so much you can do with something like that. Mm-hmm. Man, we're really drifting from positive gear reinforcement here.
Well,
I tried. I put it on there. If you're happy doing all the modding stuff, please do it. I don't like it because I want someone to hand me a guitar that they massaged and they said, here's this guitar I made for you.
Well,
this rules. Like, that's what I want. That's what I like.
The thing people have to remember with the modding thing, there's a reason why all these companies still exist.
Yeah.
There's a reason why Fender Custom Shop, Gibson Custom Shop, Novo, Anderson, Sir, all these companies demand the prices they demand.
Yeah.
And people are still buying them. It's because they're that good.
They are that good.
In every capacity, they all appeal to a different person.
Yeah. But I would even be like, instead of buying a Squire and upgrading, I'd just buy a Ventera.
Yeah.
Like, that's kind of what I'm getting at. And I feel like if you can make a better guitar than a Ventera with a Squire, then you probably could. But that doesn't interest me at all.
Yeah,
I'm getting blown up here.
I think
I'm gonna check my phone on the show.
All those guitars,
Oh yeah. Shout out to Sean. This is all Destiny 2 text messages. That's great. I love it. Very important things for me to look at while we're doing a show.
I think that all the main rule with all of this.
I'm fine. I'm totally fine. This is great. I have meds.
I think the main thing you have to remember with all of this is find the guitars that speak to you.
Yes.
And it doesn't matter what is on the tag. It doesn't matter who made it. Yeah. It just matters if it connects with you as a player.
Yeah.
And don't put your family in dire straits to acquire anything.
Yes. You can put your family in dire straits if Mark Knopfler calls.
Yeah, if you want to join a band.
But I think you're right. And I think in that case, if you play a Squire or an Epiphone at a store and it's got some sass and it's doing it, there's a good candidate for doing that.
Yeah, that's why we got that Epiphone.
And I think
Les Paul special.
that is a different thing than saying I'm going to do a project guitar because I think it's better. But if you like the journey, then that's cool. Yeah. I have more power. I was lazy,
but
no journey
to punctuate this whole thing.
Okay, are we done?
There's nothing wrong with
a little bump and grind.
with admitting to yourself that guitar is not going to be the last guitar. That amp might not be the last amp.
And I'll probably sell it.
And you very well could sell it down the road.
Yeah. And that's great.
Just go for it. Just enjoy it while you got it. And when the next great thing comes along, make it happen for yourself.
I love it. Is there any other type of guitar buyers that we missed?
Put it in the comments and let us know.
That was really a prompt. I was just setting you up to say that.
Okay, good.
I didn't think that maybe you had any other ones, but I'd like to hear from the people. Yeah.
Well, I mean, there is the non-gear buyers like your dad. I mean, he's recently been buying stuff, but he was like never bought anything.
But I will say this: shout out to Pops, who's definitely going to be listening to this at some point. He only had 2 guitars forever, but the amount of pedals that he went through,
right.
And he's had a lot of pedals that he's had for a long time, but board revisions constantly.
Sure.
He's gone through, he had Randall's for a long time with the modules. He went through a lot of different modules, got those modded. I mean, everybody has the thing that keeps that journey going. Yeah. I know we focused on guitars a lot because that's kind of our favorite thing is guitars.
Which is ironic, and we understand that.
We make pedals.
Check out mythospedals.com.
Yes, we are selling pedals, right? But I think that like everybody has there's something in the gear space that they do this with. Mm-hmm. That they are a buyer like the ones we just listed that go through lots of different things. It was definitely pedals for me. Most of the journey for me was pedals because that's an affordable way to do it. And I went through a lot of stuff. Over years, build a whole board up, tear the whole thing down. It's not like the AC booster doesn't sound good anymore.
Yeah.
It's just you get a different amp and now the drive doesn't really work anymore.
Or
different. You get a new guitar and that the speaker cabinet doesn't work anymore.
Right.
Like it's that's part of it. It's like it's about learning to love yourself. No matter what kind of gear buyer you are, love yourself. Buy more gear. mythospedals.com. Feed our families.
Click, buy.
There it is, right?
Oh man. Well, are you selling anything? You're still selling the special?
Yeah, I put it up on Reverb a couple weeks ago.
Getting lots of offers.
I keep getting some guy. If you're a fan of the show and you're the person that I'm not going to name names, but somebody keeps sending me an offer. The guitar sells brand new $4,900, right? I got it up for $4,399, a lovely deal. But homie keeps sending me an offers of like $2,400. He's done it 3 times now. And on one of the times he wrote something like, well, I saw this guitar available for $2,700 and I didn't buy it and I regret it. And I'm like, that person, I should have bought it. Either that person was desperate for cash or you got the listing wrong. It was the wrong guitar. Like that's not what they were selling.
It's like a semi-hollow CE or something.
Yeah. Or something like that. I have no idea. So I just thought that was funny. So it was a little bit lower than what I was going to do, but that's up. I know it's Orange Tigers, maybe not a color that everybody loves. It's a beautiful guitar. Maybe I'll somehow come into lots of money before I have to sell it. I'll keep it. You never know.
Mega Millions.
But that's what I'm selling. And I got Carlos starting my baritone today.
Aha.
He called me on Friday and said, "You want this guitar right now?" And I said, "Yeah. What does right now mean?" And it's like, well, we'll start it on Monday, and it'll just be like 2 months. And I'm like, okay, I gotta learn how to play. 2 months. That's what I always say.
And
what about you? Are you selling anything right now?
Yeah, I'm gonna sell the. I'm gonna sell the 594. Mm-hmm. I'm gonna sell the Soldano half stack. Mm-hmm. I'm gonna sell my Pro Junior.
Okay, forgot you had that. I'm gonna get this logo on.
Yeah. I'm gonna sell my Victory head, the cab. I traded it away. Mm-hmm. And I think that's and I'm probably gonna sell the Hammett, which makes me sad.
You have another Hammett.
I do have another Hammett, and I do have another Epiphone Flying V, which is equally as good.
Yeah, there you go.
That's Graham's guitar, but I was gonna sell my Gold Top, but I can't. I like it too much, and I guess that's it.
And that's enough.
I don't really have enough.
That's enough.
I don't have enough stuff that either. There's a lot of things in here, but all of them I love too much. Mm-hmm. I mean, I've considered selling the Epiphone Special that we did the mods on, but honestly, the amount of money that we have in that guitar, we'll never recoup the upgrades.
Yeah.
And that guitar is too good, and it's
And we
not.
don't have a lot of P90 guitars in the shop.
We have the Rev Star
we have
on
the Rev
that
Star
one.
on that one, yeah.
And it's
nice
kind
to
of
have
worth
some.
having a P90 guitar.
I think so.
And it's a great guitar.
It's now a famous guitar, though. Someone might buy it. Famous. It's in the
Lots
YouTube
of
video.
views.
Yeah.
But anyway, but everything. I'm not buying anything. I'm not buying shit for like another year.
And you say that right now until something
I'm not
comes.
buying another.
Guitar.
Well, I'm not buying.
Oh.
I'm not buying another personal guitar. Mythos might buy another guitar
Yes,
for
that
like
is-
videos or something.
Yes.
But I'm not buying anything for me.
Okay.
But anyway, that's Pedal Pushers.
That's us.
Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe. Go to mythospedals.com. Check out our wares. You can see
Yeah.
we're working on developing some blogs where Matthew and I are going to start kind of stream of consciousness, but also
Because
all
you
sorts of other
guys
stuff.
need to hear more of our thoughts on things.
Well, apparently blogs are still a thing.
I was a long-time blogger.
I was too.
I blogged. I had a
I did it
website.
for work.
I had the heavyduty.com where me and Devin, shout out to Devin, wrote about heavy metal. We did it from 2006 to 2013. It's still up.
Yeah.
And I probably said some shit that I should probably scrub from the internet because I was a younger man. And then I wrote about wrestling for a couple years. I blogged about that and until I got the job at Novo, and then I had a real job. I had to work. I couldn't just be sitting at my desk all day writing blogs.
Well, you're going to start
shout out to
blogging now.
shout out to old employers. Sorry.
I did a lot of blogs for the Christmas stuff.
Oh, okay.
Which I know seems stupid, but I did a lot of stuff on like a lot of how-to home improvement things like lighting tips and tricks. But we're going to start doing kind of like the story of every pedal, kind of a bit why I made this.
Yeah.
And then we're going to do just general thoughts.
What are some stuff that you guys want to see blogs about?
Yeah, what would you like to read about?
Yeah.
And we're actually going to type it. We're not going to get an AI to do it.
Yeah, you'll know right
Not
away.
yet. Anyway, we'll see.
Until they can perfect my unique voice,
That's right.
which is impossible for any computer to figure out what's going on up here. No chance. No chance.
It's just like, get out of there.
I promise that I won't make a bunch of fake YouTube accounts so I can just write suggestions on what I actually want to write about. Yeah, which is just me talking about Metallica albums.
Yeah. Well, we can start you a blog, just like empty talks. Empty talks.
Empty talks. I like that.
That's not bad. All right. Bye, everybody.
Zoom.